The tenants froze in their beds. The sound drifted through the hallways, soft at first like a whisper carried by the wind. Some thought it was a child outside, selling bananas late into the night. But as the voice grew louder, clearer, it became evident the sound was coming from inside the house. A woman, Jane, who lived in apartment 3, sat up in fear. She nudged her husband. "Richard, did you hear that?" Her husband grumbled, half asleep. "Go back to sleep." But Jane couldn't sleep, because the sound was now right outside their bedroom door. Faint knocking. "Banana!" She woke up screaming, her heart breaking anew each morning. In the heart of Kyaka, where the streets were always alive with the sound of commerce, a young girl walked barefoot on the hot, dusty roads. Her name was Gloria, a child of only 8, yet she carried the weight of a family on her small shoulders. Her world was different from that of other children. While many her age were in school, learning to read and write, Gloria's classroom was the open market, and her lessons were survival. Every morning, before the first light of day touched the earth, she was already awake in a small, single-room apartment with cracked walls and a leaking roof. Her mother, Mama Gloria, carefully peeled ripe bananas, packing them neatly in a tray. "Gloria, Biko, hurry up," her mother's tired voice called. Gloria was already tying the faded wrapper around her tiny waist. She rubbed her sleepy eyes and picked up the tray, balancing it carefully on her head. Her little brother, Solomon, barely 5 years old, sat on the mat in the corner, watching her. His stomach growled, but he said nothing. He had learned that complaints never brought food, only more sadness. Gloria forced a smile and stepped over to rub his head. "Solomon, I'll bring back something sweet for you today," she promised. The boy nodded eagerly. He trusted her, as he always did. With one last look at her mother, who was already preparing to leave for the market where she sold groundnuts, Gloria stepped into the world once again. Kyaka was a place of endless movement. Traders shouted their prices, Okada riders weaved dangerously through narrow roads, and the air was thick, roasted plantains mixed with exhaust fumes. But Gloria knew every corner of the streets. She had walked them since she was old enough to talk. With her tray balanced perfectly, she began her usual chant, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Buy banana. Banana." It was a call she had mastered over time, loud enough to grab attention, sweet enough to make people stop. She walked from street to street, dodging careless drivers, weaving through crowds, and smiling at familiar faces. Some people pitied her, a girl so young working so hard. Others barely noticed her, just another child of poverty, lost in the sea of struggle. But Gloria never complained. She was used to the long hours, the heat, the aching feet. She had accepted that this was her life. Until that day. The day everything changed. The day she crossed paths with Raymond. It was late afternoon, and Gloria had not made enough sales. The sun had begun its slow descent, casting long shadows on the streets. She was about to take the shortcut home when she passed by a half-built house, an uncompleted building standing tall and lonely on an empty plot of land. Blocks were stacked in piles, bags of cement lay untouched, and wooden planks were scattered around. Something about it felt wrong. The air around it was too quiet, as if the place held its breath, waiting. But Gloria didn't pay much attention. She lifted her voice again. "Buy banana. Banana." That was when she heard a man's voice. She froze. Looking toward the building, a man stood in the shadows, half hidden by the unfinished walls. He was dressed well, in a crisp white shirt and dark trousers. But there was something in his posture, something unsettling. He waved at her, gesturing for her to come closer. "Come here, my Pekin. I won by banana." Gloria hesitated. Something inside her screamed for her to turn away. She took a step back. But then she thought of her brother. Solomon was hungry. Mama Gloria needed money. Ignoring the warning that burned in her chest, Gloria stepped forward. Her small feet crossed the threshold into the shadows of the uncompleted building. The tray on her head wobbled slightly, but she quickly steadied it. "How many you won by?" she asked, forcing a polite smile. The man's lips curled into something that was not quite a smile. And then the world went dark. The moment Gloria stepped into the building, the world outside disappeared. The street noises, the honking cars, the chatter of traders, all faded. A strange coldness settled in the air. The smell of damp cement and dust filled her nose. She shifted uncomfortably, gripping the tray tighter. "How many you want buy?" she asked again, hoping to make the sale quickly and leave. The man, Raymond, did not answer immediately. He stood still, watching her with calculating eyes. Then he took slow steps forward, closing the space between them. "Your banana go sweet?" he finally asked. His voice smooth, too smooth. Gloria forced another smile, though everything inside her screamed. She had been selling bananas for years. She had met all kinds of customers. Some were kind, some were rude, some were simply strange. Maybe he was just another strange one. "Yes," she replied politely. "My banana sweet." Well, how many you get?" Raymond's lips curled into something that looked like a smile, but wasn't quite. "I go buy everything," he said. Gloria's eyes widened in surprise. Everything. That had never happened before. Most people bought 2, maybe 3 bananas at most. "You go buy everything," she repeated, disbelief in her voice. He nodded. "Yes, but first drop 'em for ground. I go count the money." Something inside her hesitated. But money was money. She spoke to traders, drivers, even beggars. Nothing. It was as if her daughter had vanished into thin air. She went to the police. By the time she arrived, her clothes were soaked in sweat, her eyes swollen from crying. "Officer, please help me. My daughter hasn't come home," she pleaded. The officer looked up lazily, chewing gum. "How old is she?" "She's 12, Mama Gloria replied, her voice trembling. The officer clicked his tongue and leaned back in his chair. "Madam, maybe she ran off with a man. Children run away every day." "No," she cried. "She would never do that. She was just selling bananas on the road. She wouldn't disappear like that." The officer waved her off. "Madam, if she doesn't return after 3 days, come back. Then we'll write a report." 3 days. Mama Gloria felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Her daughter was missing, and this man didn't care. Her cries, her pain, meant nothing. Slowly, she rose, wiping her face with the edge of her wrapper. If the police wouldn't help, then she would find Gloria herself. And so the search continued. For weeks, she stopped eating, stopped sleeping. She knocked on every door, questioned every face. She went to churches, begging pastors to pray. She visited native doctors, pleading with them to show her where Gloria was. Some told her Gloria was alive. Some said she was dead. Some told her to forget. But a mother does not forget. Every night, she dreamed of Gloria's voice calling to her from somewhere far away. "Mama! Mama, I want to come home." She woke up screaming, her heart breaking again each morning. She searched until her body could no longer carry her. Then one day she collapsed by the roadside. Her strength was gone. Her tears had dried. And finally, in her weakest moment, she accepted the truth. Gloria was never coming back. Her daughter was gone. As the months passed, the world moved on. The house where Gloria had been buried stood tall, welcoming its first tenants. Mama Gloria sat outside her small house, staring at the road her daughter once walked. Every day she waited. Every day she listened. Every day she hoped. But Gloria never came home. Until one night, in the stillness of her room, she heard it. A faint, faraway voice. "Buy banana, banana." Her eyes flew open. She sat up, heart pounding. It was impossible. She rushed outside, looking down the street, searching. But there was no one there. Just the whisper of the wind, the distant glow of a streetlight, and an empty road. Yet deep in her soul she knew. Her daughter's spirit had not found rest. And somewhere in Uri, storm was coming. The house stood tall, its fresh paint gleaming under the sun. To an outsider it was a symbol of success, a duplex built for prosperity. But deep beneath its foundation, in the cold embrace of the earth, Gloria did not sleep. Her blood had mixed with the soil. Her cries had been swallowed by the concrete. Her body had been forgotten. But her spirit remembered. Now, she was ready to be heard. It was a joyful occasion when the first tenants arrived. Families with children, newlyweds, hard-working traders looking for a fresh start. The building had 6 apartments, each with spacious rooms, polished floors, and wide windows that welcomed the breeze. Mail, pleased with himself, collected rent from each family, laughing as the money piled up in his hands. "This house will give me wealth forever," he boasted to his friends. He had no idea what was coming. First, everything seemed normal. The tenants settled in, arranging their furniture, sweeping their balconies, cooking their evening meals. The house was filled with the sounds of life. Children playing, mothers gossiping, fathers returning from work. But on the 3rd night something changed. The air in the house grew heavy, like an unseen force pressing against the walls. Then, at exactly 1 a.m., the silence shattered. Voice. Small distant voice. "Buy banana." The tenants froze in their beds. The sound drifted through the hallways, soft at first, like a whisper carried by the wind. Some thought it was a child outside selling bananas late into the night. But as the voice grew louder, clearer, it became evident the sound was coming from inside the house. A woman, Jane, living in apartment 3, sat up in fear. She nudged her husband. Richard ***, did you hear that? Richard grumbled, half asleep. "Go back to sleep." But Jane couldn't sleep. The sound was now right outside their bedroom door. Faint knock. "Buy banana." Jane's blood ran cold. She grabbed her husband's arm, her heart trembling. "Richard, wake up." But as soon as he opened his eyes, the knocking stopped. The air was still, too still. Jane held her breath, listening. Nothing. Only silence. Shaking her head, she whispered, "Maybe I imagined it." But deep inside she knew the truth. Something was not right with the house. As days passed, strange things began to happen. Tenants lost their jobs without reason. Money mysteriously disappeared from wallets and purses. Children fell sick with illnesses that had no cure. Food rotted overnight, even in the fridge. One by one, the tenants began to suffer. Even the strongest men, the wealthiest traders, the most devoted women, they all felt the weight of something unnatural pressing down on them. And every night, at exactly 1 a.m., the voice returned. "Buy banana, banana." Some tried to ignore it. Some prayed. Some refused to believe it. But the voice never stopped. Then came the sightings. One tenant, Chris, had always been a skeptic. "Ghost no day," he would say. "All these people, they're just imagining things." But one night he became a believer. He had just returned from work, exhausted. He dropped his bag, loosened his tie, and collapsed onto his bed. Within minutes he was fast asleep. A noise, soft at first, a gentle rustling like footsteps on tiles. He stirred but didn't wake. Then a knock, soft at first, then louder. His eyes fluttered open, heart pounding. "Who be that?" he muttered, groggy. No response. Then the door creaked open, slowly, painfully. And in the dim light of his room, he saw her. A small girl standing in the doorway. A tray of bananas balanced on her head. Her face was shadowed, but her eyes hollow. Me. Staring straight at him. Here's the revised version of your story with improved grammar and tense. And Kyoka replacing Uri. All stars have also been removed as requested. Then she spoke. "You want buy banana." A shiver ran down his spine. "Who you be?" he whispered. She stepped closer. Her feet didn't touch the ground. "You go pay." Her voice was sharp now, demanding. Chris tried to move. He couldn't. His body was frozen. His breath caught in his chest. Then the tray slipped from her head. The bananas hit the ground with a wet, sickening splat. They were rotting. black, crawling with maggots. And from beneath them, blood pooled across the floor. Chris's scream shattered the night. The next morning he packed his bags and left. He didn't care about his rent. He didn't care about his belongings. He just needed to leave. But before he left, he told someone he trusted. Pastor Eric, the man of God who had guided him for years. At Sunday service, Chris sat at the back of the church, restless and tormented. After the service, he approached the pastor. "Pastor, I beg, I need to talk to you." There was something in Chris's eyes that made Pastor Eric pause. A deep fear. A fear that only came from the unnatural. "What is it, my son?" Chris took a deep breath and told him everything. The whispers. The shadows. The girl. Pastor Eric listened in silence. His expression unreadable. When Chris finished, the pastor closed his eyes, inhaled deeply, and murmured, "The spirit of the innocent is crying for justice." His eyes snapped open. "Take me to this house." That evening, Pastor Eric arrived at the building. The moment he stepped in, he felt it. A presence. A spirit that had been trapped in suffering for too long. He walked through the house, praying softly, letting the Holy Spirit guide him. Then he stopped. His eyes fell to the foundation of the building. A deep sadness filled his chest. "She is here," he whispered. Chris stared at him in confusion. "Who?" The pastor turned to him, grave. "A child was buried beneath this house. Her soul is not at rest." A collective gasp rose from the other tenants who had gathered to listen. The pastor raised his hand and declared, "This house carries a curse. Whoever built it shed innocent blood. Until justice is done, no one will know peace here." Silence fell. One by one, the tenants began to pack their things. By the next morning, the building was empty, abandoned by the living, still occupied by the dead. And somewhere across Kyaka, in his grand duplex, Mail slept peacefully, unaware that his time was running out, because Gloria was coming, and she would not stop until justice was served. Her feet didn't touch the ground. Her hands clutched a tray of black, rotten bananas. And then she spoke. "You want buy banana." Mail's body went stiff. His mouth opened but no sound came out. The girl's head tilted to the side, her voice soft, now almost mocking. "You go pay." A cold gust of air rushed through the room, knocking over his bedside lamp. Mail lunged for the light switch, but before he could reach it, the entire room shook. The windows rattled. The walls groaned. Then the girl screamed. Her voice pierced through the room, shaking the very foundation of the house. Mail fell to his knees. His ears rang. His vision blurred. Then everything went silent. When he opened his eyes, the girl was gone. But on the floor, his money lay scattered, covered in dark stains. And the faint sound of laughter echoed in the distance. From that night, Mail's life fell apart. His business crumbled. Deals that had once been certain suddenly collapsed. His bank accounts drained. Money vanished without explanation. His health declined. Doctors found nothing wrong, yet he grew weaker with each passing day. His friends abandoned him, sensing the darkness that now surrounded him. Every night the haunting grew worse. Every night she returned. Every night she asked the same question. "You go pay." Until one night he could take it no more. It was raining heavily, the kind of storm that made even the strongest men uneasy. Mail locked himself in his bedroom, refusing to sleep. He had prayed. He had begged. He had tried everything. But nothing stopped her. As the clock struck 1 a.m., he held his breath, waiting. For the first time in weeks there was silence. No knocks, no whispers, no shadows. Mail exhaled shakily, relief washing over him. "It don't end," he whispered. Then a voice from behind him. "You want buy banana." His body turned cold. Slowly, with trembling hands, he turned around. And there she was, Gloria. Her eyes were black, hollow, endless. Her mouth twisted into a wide, haunting smile. The tray on her head was empty. Then she stepped forward. "Give me my money," Male screamed. He tried to run, but his legs failed him. He tried to fight, but his body was too weak. Then her cold hands touched his chest. And in that moment he felt everything. Every tear she had shed. Every plea she had made. Every moment of fear, pain, and betrayal consumed him. His eyes rolled back. His body collapsed to the ground. His last breath escaped his lips. As he lay lifeless, the air in the room grew still. The storm outside calmed. And in the darkness, Gloria smiled. Her revenge was complete. Male was dead. But the story was far from over. His lifeless body was found the next morning by a neighbor, lying on the cold floor of his mansion. His eyes were wide open in pure terror. There were no wounds, no signs of struggle. But his hands were clenched so tightly that his fingernails had dug deep into his palms. And beside him on the floor lay a single rotten banana. The news spread like wildfire. "Male don die. Na spirit kill am. E be like say he offend person way no suppose offend." But those who knew the real story, the tenants, the pastor, the ones who had suffered inside his cursed house, they didn't need to guess. They knew. Gloria had taken her revenge. And her spirit was still not done. With Male dead, his properties were abandoned. His mansion remained empty, collecting dust and decay. But the house he had built for tenants, the house where innocent blood had been spilled, became something far worse. It became a place of fear, a place no one dared to enter. Landlords tried to sell it, but no buyer ever agreed. Even when the price was dropped to almost nothing, no one wanted it. The walls held the whispers. The floor echoed the footsteps of the dead. And every night, at exactly 1 a.m., the voice returned. "Buy banana, banana." At first, brave people tried to test the stories. Men who would stand outside the house at midnight, daring each other to stay until morning. None of them ever did. The moment the voice began, the bravest among them fled without looking back. And soon no one dared to go near. It became a ghost house. A place where only spirits dwell. Place forever cursed. As the years passed, the story of Gloria became a legend. Mothers warned their children not to walk alone at night, lest they hear the voice of the banana girl calling to them. Elders shook their heads, whispering about the greed of men like Male and how the blood of the innocent never stays silent. Some say that if you walk past the house on a quiet night, you might see her, a small girl standing in the darkness, holding a tray of bananas that never rot. Her face hidden in the shadows. Her voice soft but chilling. "You want buy banana." No one ever answered. No one ever stayed to see what happened next. Because one truth was clear. Gloria's ghost would never leave the house. The flesh had fallen, but the curse remained. Years later, in an attempt to erase the past, the government decided to demolish the house. They brought in bulldozers, hammers, and strong men ready to tear down its walls. But strange things began to happen. Machines broke down without reason. Workers fell suddenly ill and had to be taken away. Tools disappeared overnight. Every attempt to destroy the building failed. Until finally, the workers refused to continue. "We no go fit do they said. "This house no be ordinary." And so, the building remained. A ghostly structure in the middle of a bustling kyaka. A reminder of the girl who had been buried beneath its foundation. A warning to all who would trade innocence for greed. And though the walls cracked and crumbled with time, and nature began to reclaim the land, one thing never changed. At exactly 1 a.m., if you dared to listen, you would still hear it. Soft at first, then louder. "Buy banana, banana." And those who heard it never stayed long enough to hear it again. Here's a blended version that weaves greed, injustice, guilt, and redemption into one powerful closing. Some sins leave shadows that time cannot erase. Greed and injustice never go unpunished. The truth always finds its way to the surface, no matter how deeply it's buried. But guilt, when it burns bright enough, can stir the conscience. Redemption doesn't erase the past, but it begins with the courage to face it. In the end, the spirit of the wronged will rise, not just for vengeance, but to remind us. No evil deed stays hidden forever, and peace only comes when justice is done.